three members of the family, and their father is here. Just moved to Augusta. A family of 12 have come here, and soon to hit the school system, Jim. And trust me, after one afternoon's lunch, Bill and I say there's some shining stars in that group. Can one of you come up and introduce the family? Is your English good enough?
Come on.
Hello, guys.
Speak up.
Okay. I have 5 sisters with 3 brothers, and I have. Okay, my name is Muawiyah, and I have 5 sisters with 3 brothers, and my father and my mother. Was my grandpa and grandma. We was in Arizona before for 1.5 years, and we come here. We feel here is so safely, and we like this state. And I heard about the school. It's so nice, and all the people, it's laughing, it's smiling.
Do you are you familiar with winter? Does the word winter mean anything?
My name is Muawiyah. My nickname is Momo. I am from Syria. We heard on the internet it's a Maine, a good place, and the people is very nice with you. And my dad, he say I want to go to Maine. I don't like Arizona. Yeah, and we say okay, we go. Small fish, nice color fish, huh? Hey, it's fell down.
Well, for one thing, I've noticed that everybody knows everybody else here. And I mean, I have 9 aunts and uncles. They're all deceased. I've buried most of them out of this church over the years. But all their children and grandchildren are all around, all married to other people in the parish. So the big joke is, who is Father Frank not related to in the city?
Every time you go someplace, you're going there and the people are seeing you as the mayor. There's a lot of engagement and a lot of discussions. And sometimes just a lot of recognition, just a nod of the eye or a how do you do. And you know, I'm a people person, and I like engaging with people, and I like knowing what's on their mind and know what's going on, and I'm constantly looking for opportunities where we might be able to affect something to benefit the community.
We went to America because Iraq wasn't safe, because ISIS and stuff like that. And my dad got a phone call at January 2015. The phone call was about us going to America, and my dad woke my mom up, and my mom started like crying, and because we have like a lot of family in Iraq, like my cousin, my uncle, like a lot of like family members.
أنا جيت في باخرة أي شهر. إحنا لبنان، اسكندرونة تركيا، أزمير تركيا، ورحنا إيطاليا، ورحنا المغرب، بعدين جينا على الميسيسيبي ودونا السجن. لا، في ناس كثير على السفينة هاي وعلى غيرها، في ناس ماتوا، في ناس وصلوا، يعني ما في ناس ضاعوا لهلا ما حد يعرف وين.
أنا جيت طلعت من سوريا على تركيا، بركت 3 أيام بتركيا، وبعدين جيت على مصر. من مصر بركت بمصر، وعملوا معي مقابلة هيئة الأمم المتحدة، وقالوا لي بتطلع على أمريكا، فطلعنا لهون.
اكو شلون قبل يقولون مثل يعني الناصريه مثل الام ما في واحد يختار امه بس هون مثل يطلع برا مثل الزوجه يقدر واحد يختار زوجه من اي مكان.
We have what we call secondary migration, where people have been immigrated to America and are living somewhere else and have decided to relocate, and they've moved to Augusta, Maine. These families that have come are working hard to get into the community and to get a viable means of income.
فتحنا المحل بالبداية حتى نضيع وقت لأن ما كان اكو أحد هون وشوي شوي بدأ المحل يعني يمشي.
Those who do end up needing assistance from the city are typically short-termers on that assistance. 5-6 months, they've found a job, they've gotten their work permits, and they're making a contribution.
Well, there was a little bit of action against the Iraqi store, which is across the street here, and so that's when we, the local clergy association, got together and decided to do a public welcome to the owners.
مع صداقة قوية مع الفاذر فرانك. أي مناسبة هو يعمل هو يدعينا الجاليات تكون موجودة ويساعدنا. هسه احنا عندنا اكو زواج يوم السبت، اكو واحد عراقي راح يتزوج يوم السبت فأعطانا البيسمنت تبع الكنيسة.
We're no different, I don't think, than a lot of communities where there is some element of our population that is leery of immigrants, even though they themselves, a couple generations back, you know, might be the product of immigration. Some people may believe that we need to take care of our own before we open the doors to outsiders. That's never been what made this country what it is, but there's always been that type of, you know, I'm here, I want to close the door behind me.
People in South Freeport Village and Augusta were alarmed this morning when they woke up to find KKK flyers in their driveways. The flyer announces a Ku Klux Klan neighborhood watch. The toll-free number on the flyer leads to a voicemail which says the group is, quote, unapologetically committed to the interests and values of the white race. Augusta police say distributing those flyers is not a crime since there is no threat in them.
We had a sign, it had something to do with God welcomes all people, and it was right after, I guess there was another KKK thing up front, and we had people come by, and we had one person come by and was really furious with us for putting that out there, and I happened to not be around at the time, thank God. I wasn't in the office building, but my secretary just handled, she said, well, this is the belief of the church that all people are one.
I could be wrong, but I believe we are the whitest. I know we're the oldest state. We are also one of the most uneducated. And I think when you have old white families who have been where they are for a very long time, you tend to carry the opinions of your family. And if your family isn't integrating with anybody else but other white people who you have this feedback loop of opinion, and you never reach outside your own community, unfortunately, I think that breeds hate. You have people whose opinion is that immigrants take jobs. Well, when you look at the numbers, they don't actually take your jobs. It's just easier to say that. It's easy to have the scapegoat, and I think immigrants in particular are very easy to scapegoat.
You have your prejudiced people, you know, and you hope that they would just study the issues and let go, you know, study American history, my God.
In the mid-1800s, we have the Irish Catholics coming across from Ireland because of the Irish potato famine. But they're coming from homes with dirt floors. They maybe have 1 or 2 pots to cook in. They are just eating potatoes. And it's not fun like today. We have potatoes au gratin and French fries that we can do 20 different ways. It was boiled potato.
Of the late 1800s and early 1900s, it was the French Canadians from Quebec who came down the Chaudière-Kennebec walked, you know.
They were not well received. The KKK was active in Maine during the Industrial Revolution, not because there were African Americans here, but against the Catholics. So there are accounts of there being cross burnings in Catholic communities like on Sand Hill.
But it was a real close-knit immigrant community up here on the hill. This was the area where the French lived. They had their own stores, or lots of stores up here on the hill at that time. They stick together. They stick together because they're going to preserve their language and their culture, their religion, and it's also protection for each other.
I had the chance to speak with a lot of people who grew up in that area during that time period, and they remember being taught solely in French, speaking French at home, and then when they went to high school, the high school was in English. And so a lot of these people got held back in school because they were considered dumb because they spoke French.
My experience with a little bit of prejudice happened in the English department at Coney High School my junior year. And there's a lady who, I was asking a lot of questions. I've always been one to ask a lot of questions. And so up goes my hand, you know, asking about this particular writer or this particular whatever, or rule in English. And I knew all the rules in the French language, but they were slightly different. So one day she was upset with me for asking questions. I think it was the third one of the day of the class. And she said, puts her hands on her hips, and she said, "Why don't you go back where you came from?" And I said, "Whoa, what do you mean? I was born and raised here, you know?"
My grandparents never spoke English. And so the only thing I could say to them was, "Hello, Pepe," that was it. And they'd go, "Hello, Francis." And I couldn't really talk much.
The Irish and the French were considered not willing to assimilate. I think we find that, in my personal opinion, we find that in immigrant communities today in Maine. They were forced to leave their homes, so it's difficult when it comes to how much can you expect them to assimilate to the culture that they're now part of.
تجي عوائل او تجي اي شيء يجي اروح لهم، لان اول ما يجون يكون خايفين، هم منرفزين، بس من يشوفوني مثلا لابس هذا اللبس يرتاحوا شويه.
The school in Iraq was like weird. The class, like there's no roof. It's like outside, and like the teachers in Iraq, like if you get in trouble or you don't do your homework, they have like a long stick, they hit you with it. Yeah, I got hit a couple times, I won't lie. When I went to the 5th grade, it was like difficult. Like the teachers was nice. Like when they look at your eyes, they smile, which is not in Iraq. I met a lot of friends, and I didn't know any English that time. So everyone comes to me and talks, say hi, and I don't know anything they say. So I say yeah. Yeah, it was difficult for me.
I met two 17-year-olds, twins, from Syria who didn't speak any English when they came here, and 5 months later I'm talking to them, and they're pretty well fluent.
The city manager, he's my friend, for a friend of the family, and he said, okay, I told him I want to find a job, and he said, okay, I have a job for you. I just focus on my job and I'm not talking with anyone. Yeah, that's why I do. And all my managers, they like me, they will tell me you are doing very good.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, I like fishing. I see a lot the animal today with Peter.
I personally am very curious about the little shops that are opening up and would kind of like to pop in and just say, hey, what do you have? Like, what do you recommend to somebody who's new to the food style? I would hope that more people would do that, and I do know that there's currently a project going on, some sort of international food co-op where they want it to be a public space. I know a young woman is coming back to the area.
We have set out to understand the refugee and host community experience here in Augusta. How can Augusta adjust to promote integration and active participation of all residents? We are creating a nonprofit business that will facilitate the integration of new Mainers into our community. Just this morning, I spoke with a Syrian man on Sand Hill, and he said, "The thing we want is to stand on our feet." World to Table's mission is to bring together a community of diverse people and populations through sharing cultural foods. To accomplish this, we intend to set up a public market space with a Syrian stall, an Iraqi stall, a French-Canadian stall, and to introduce people to new food and create a space that promotes communal dining and interaction between community members.
I think what's special about our project and what's sort of the innovation is that we're bringing it to small towns in places where building those bridges is actually necessary and not redundant. It's like something new. I mean, a lot of people said to us like, oh, we had no idea there were Iraqis here. Like, we've never seen them. And there's like over 500 refugees living here already. So how can that be the case? How are these communities not interacting at all? So.
There are examples of food markets abroad in Copenhagen that promote cultural cuisine, and there are also examples of using cooking as a means to break down barriers between host community and refugee community.
Well, I think what you're doing is wonderful, because I think, we, in Augusta in particular with our ethnic history, if you look at the history of Augusta and going back for the different groups that have come through, we would get cuisine that would come in, but then over time it would kind of go away again. But it would be so nice to see the flavors of all these other cultures brought to the forefront, because we're kind of missing out.
So this is one of the first events that we've had. We've had a couple small, but this is definitely the biggest event that World to Table has had so far. And we can't take really any credit. It's credit due to the cooks here tonight. There is hummus. It's a hummus, everybody knows it. This is rice and milk. It's called rizq halib. And there is a different thing. I hope you like it. Yeah. Well, World to Table will be a lot like other markets and restaurants. There's not really going to be anything visually different, but behind the scenes, we want to be making sure that we are accessing everybody in the community, that there's something in there that everybody feels that they could go in and try a sandwich or have some shish kebab.
What Anna is proposing, it's not a welfare program, it's not a handout program, but it's a market open to the public on Water Street.
I think anybody can talk about food and say their likes and dislikes without it being so deep like religion or politics. Food is food, and it applies to your senses, and I think we're more acceptable of other people's tastes when it comes to food than we are anything else.
Ultimately, we are all children of immigrants and blessed when we have an opportunity to pay it forward.
What could be more religious experience than reaching out and helping your fellow man, especially one that is different than you, that has experienced terror and fear like you could never imagine, and then seeing other immigrant populations from the past here in our town, like the Franco-American community, step up and want to help out.
تختار الزوجة الحلوة وهذه جينا لهون هي حلوة. أوغستا حلوة ومين عامة حلوة وما شفنا منهم مشاكل صراحة.
We all have to remember that Maine is the oldest state demographically of the 50 states, and that there's very little by way of organic population growth. Immigrants potentially are the future of the vitality of this state, as they have always been.
في مساعدات للاجئ السوري يعني لأي لاجئ بيجي يعني مساعدات أكثر من أريزونا.
شوف أنا حياتي من أشوف يعني الجهال أولادي كويسين ومرتاحين أنا أكون يعني بقمة السعادة. فهم يعني أشوفهم يروحون مثلا يلعبون كرة، يروحون بالشارع، عندهم أصدقاء أولاد بالمدارس، إن شاء الله يصيرون دكاترة هنا ويساعدون البلد، إن شاء الله مثلا يصيرون مهندسين، يكونون مواطنين صالحين يعني ما يسوون مشاكل ونعيشهم بالأمان.
Wait a minute. You can edit, right?
Yeah. But in the winter, I don't know. Maybe it's cold.
Yeah. I think you're gonna be surprised how cold it is.
Yeah. Yeah.